We like the Jaguar XF here at the HJ Road Testings department, but the XF has one very specific problem. Jaguar XF, drum, not going anywhere. Bosh, straight in. So what do? You make a fat version with a hatchback, is what you do. And if we're going to have a drum war, watch this. Jeff, I didn't think this through, help! See? And so in conclusion, the Fat XF has got a fat boot, and therefore the Fat XF is the XF to buy.
Mark, it is not an XF. Look at it.
What? What is it then?
What we have here is, of course, so much more than an XXL XF. It's Jaguar's first ever SUV, and it's the big fat embodiment of everything Jaguar stands for, apparently.
What Jaguar stands for is summed up in a rhyme that Jaguar co-founder and urban poet Big Willie Lion made up so that people would recognise Jaguars when they saw them. Those three words are grace, pace and space. And so this car uses one of those words, pace, and puts an F in front of it. Effin' pace.
The F is there to remind us of the Jaguar F-Type, but this is massive, so why didn't they call it the Effin' space?
I mean, they could have. Back here it feels much more spacious than anything else Jaguar does, including the XJ limo that the Prime Minister rocks around in. In fact, apparently, Jaguar spent months just shaping this headliner to liberate as much room as possible, when you can undo all that work by getting this panoramic roof, but there's still loads of room. And because it's a tall SUV, these back doors are dead easy to get in and out of.
And the storage at the front is adequate for all manner of your quintessentially British stuff, like your hat, your brogues, your braces and your bottle of blue WKD.
So if they'd called it Effin' space, that would have been okay, but Effin' pace? Not so much. And Jaguar reckons 6 out of 10 F-Paces sold will be this very spec. So that's 2 litre diesel, 4-wheel drive, 8-speed automatic and in R-Sport trim. It looks lovely, but it's less effing pace and more effing okay. Unfortunately, your only other choices are a 3 litre diesel and a 3 litre supercharged petrol, but they're both one trim only jobs and they cost more than 50 grand each. So if you want any sort of trim choice, you are stuck with this. The same 2 litre diesel engine that's in the XE and the XF and in the Land Rover Discovery in fact. And just like in those cars, it's this one's weak spot. It's just a bit slow, a bit rackety and just a bit unrefined. And this 8-speed gearbox always seems to be hunting for gears. It never seems to be in the right one. Basically, it just seems to fall short of Big Willie. It just doesn't seem to measure up to Big Willie's ideals all those years ago.
Look, what I'm trying to say is that it's alright, but it's not groundbreaking stuff, is it?
It is better here than it is in the XE and the XF, probably because Jaguar's had a bit more time to develop it. But it's still not the sort of car you're inclined to push, because when you do, it makes loud noises! And I mean, fair play to Jaguar for having a go. The very best have tried and failed to make an SUV look attractive. But I mean, it's not that good looking, is it? Yet Jaguar seems to think it's created some sort of artwork. But there is no doubt about one thing. This handles. But don't take my word for it, take the word of this unknown and presumably unpaid road test blogger, who's somewhere up north, I think.
The car gives incredible response and stability, and I think the car is also beautiful.
He's right. The response to this is much more like a normal hatchback than a big fat SUV thing. A good hatchback at that. In fact, it's got a hint of the Porsche Macan about it, the way it drives. It kind of stays planted, it doesn't pogo around like most SUVs do. And you can get a rear wheel drive one if you're into power sliding and stuff like Jose is. And actually the 4-wheel drive versions are rear biased anyway, so it's got that sort of distinctive push from the back sort of feel, and as I've just felt, it's got some... That was good, that. You should use that. And it's got something called torque vectoring, which nips the inside wheel with the brakes when you're cornering, just to pull the car around a bit quicker. It's good. It also has something unique to the SUV class, side wheel drive. I know this because Jaguar made a video about it.
It's about balance. And on the day, it's about time.
So I've got my racing suit on. So as they say at wash time at Half Ton Hospital, let's get this big fella rolled over. Now the downside to all this dynamic skill is that a cosy ride, the F-Pace, is not necessarily. It's actually really hard to get the right quality of these sorts of cars right. Most of them end up being too bouncy and feeling like this. And this one goes the other way. It's quite stiff so it doesn't roll around, but that means that you feel more through your backside than you probably want to. Now you can sort that out a bit by spending £1,000 on adaptive dampers, but either way, it's no Range Rover. But not being a Range Rover is not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, this might be made by the same company that makes the world's favourite house on wheels, but it's not as if they just jumbled up a load of Land Rover parts and came out with this Jaguar. Well, apart from that bit there, and that bit there, and that gear selector there. Apart from that though, it feels really distinct. So while it doesn't feel luxurious in here, it does feel high-tech, which is exactly how it should be. So the standard spec sheet includes Sat-Nav with traffic sign recognition, 2-zone climate control, Wi-Fi, emergency automatic braking, and 2 cup holders. And it even has something so that you can connect it to your smartphone and then from your house preheat the cabin or unlock the car.
And for £300 you can have this activity key, which is basically a key you can wear.
Or send a cheque for £2.99 and we will send you the Honest John patented Jaguar F-Pace activity key. There is every reason to buy one of these. Mainly, it's priced on par with its infinitely more common and boring rivals. And that includes fuel and insurance costs. And if you're willing to live with the distinctly non-F-Pacey diesel, there's plenty of choice too. And residuals are strong because this thing is very desirable. And so in conclusion, the Fat XF has got a fat boot, and therefore the Fat XF is the XF to buy. Please don't crash like this. It just flashes it. Thank you.